Tarkov is not supposed to be as spooky as you think. It's actually supposed to look like this. You just have things set wrong. Most people either crank brightness or copy random settings, and it's actually making things worse. And no, this isn't just post-FX in the game. For reference, here's my current specs, as well as my in-game settings, which I've been running this config for a few weeks now. I'm going to show you the exact settings that make enemies easier to see without ruining your FPS or making your game look washed out. First, let's head into the NVIDIA Control Panel and take a look at Adjust Desktop Color Settings. Here we can see some pretty important settings like brightness, contrast, and gamma, as well as digital vibrance and hue. Now, there are some test images or reference images that you can use in the NVIDIA Control Panel to see what difference it's going to make for you. I would say the best thing though would be to have Tarkov open and change your brightness or your contrast, and then take a look in game to see what the difference is like. These are the current settings that I'm running. You can take this as a baseline, but like I said, what we also want to do is take a look at our monitor settings, and here you can see what your gamma is set to, as well as some monitors have special modes like dark boost and color temperature and brightness. And you can make sure that everything is set to your desired way here. We also want to make sure that we're on game or FPS mode. Some monitors disable extra image processing in FPS mode and prioritize faster response times. It will really depend on your specific monitor though. Now, heading in game, I think a good idea would be to go somewhere where you can test high brightness and low brightness, maybe like outside and inside, so that you can see the difference between each setting. Unfortunately, my visualize tab is actually broken. As you can see, it just shows apply in the top left corner. So I kind of had to do this manually, and I'm not able to show direct comparisons as easily, but I can kind of give you a breakdown of the settings I run and why. There's a lot of really good YouTube videos out there going super in depth on post-FX, so I highly recommend checking those out. But if you wanted to kind of check it out yourself, I'd highly recommend messing with your gamma and brightness in the NVIDIA Control Panel, as well as using that visualize tab that is broken for me, and see what looks good for you. For me personally, my monitor's already pretty bright, and I find the game is good with my NVIDIA Control Panel settings, so I just leave this at 19. One thing to keep in mind as well is when you're turning up the brightness, it will make flashlights and outside lights a lot brighter. Now, clarity and luma sharpen next on the list are very similar in the sense that they sharpen the image and kind of almost like an anti-aliasing, but they add detail towards the outer edges of objects, and they do also help with flashlights. So I would put these in the middle. If you go all the way to 100, it kind of overdoes it and it makes it hard to see things. So I would start with somewhere like 30 or 40 and adjust towards your preference. Adaptive sharpen, I find helps the best with trees and that looking at enemies long distance. So I do tend to run this setting on and towards the 15 to 20 rate just for me. But if you find it helps you a lot at long distance, I would definitely look at turning that setting up. Color grading is one where there's not as much of a general consensus, such as like the sharpening helping with the flashlights. Obviously, you kind of want that on at least a little bit. Color grading is really more of a personal preference towards visibility and will depend on your display. I run Chillwave 27 just to flatten out the harsh warm tones and making the shadows look a bit clearer. After testing all of the settings and kind of going through the differences, this is the recommended setup that I would go with. You want a little bit of brightness, you want some sharpening, but not too much, and just kind of like a good balance between all of the settings. The only thing I would change here would be brightness depending on your monitor, because we don't want the flashlights and lights to be overwhelming and blinding. But yeah, that is my quick look at NVIDIA Control Panel, post-FX, as well as the monitor settings. Honestly, I had never configured my monitor properly until a few months ago. And I actually went in and I searched like the best settings for my monitor and changed the gamma and the FPS mode and the dark boost, I believe it's called. And it made a big difference for visibility and the ability to see people in the dark and in shadows. So it's definitely something that I would look into. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stay tuned for some more. Peace.